GettingPositiveKarmaNow.com presents Bhagavad Gita for All, lectures by Nalan K. Narula, recorded in front of a live audience.
So the process is that I will chant 2 lines of the Maha Mantra, then you will chant 2 lines like that. Before that there is an invocation which I will make. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Om Jnanam Timirandasya Jnananjana Shlakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We can continue to chant, okay? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
So we are on chapter 13 of Bhagavad Gita, the nature of consciousness, the enjoyer, the field of activity. So we are now going to be doing, we had completed text 7 last time. Today we will study text 8 through 12. 5 texts, and we will study these 5. So the texts commence. Amanitvam adhambitvam ahimsa kshantirarjavam acharya upasanam shaucham स्थैर्यम आत्म विनिग्रह इंद्रियार्थेषु वैराग्यम अनअहंकार एव च जन्म मृत्यु जरा व्याधि दुख दोष अनुदर्शनम असक्तिर अनाभविष्यंगा पुत्र दारा गृहादिषु नित्यं च समचित्तत्वम इष्टानिष्टा पपिस्तसु मयि चानन्य योगेन भक्तिर अव्यभिचारिणी विविक्त देश सेवित्वम अरातिर जन संसदि अध्यात्म ज्ञान नित्यत्व तत्व ज्ञानार्थ दर्शनम एतज ज्ञानम इति प्रोक्तम अज्ञानम यद अतो अन्यथा. So 20 points have been listed here. Amanitvam adhambitvam. Humility and lack of pride. Ahimsa, non-violence. Shanti is tolerance. Arjavam is simplicity. Acharya upasanam, approaching a genuine, legitimate spiritual master. Shaucham, cleanliness. Sthiryam, being steady. Atma vinigraha, control, self-control. Indriyartheshu, in the matter of the senses. Self-control in the matter of the senses. Vairagyam, renunciation. Anahankara, being without false ego. Evacha, certainly also. Janam mrityu jara vyadhi dukha dosha anudarshanam. Janam mrityu jara vyadhi is birth, death, old age, disease, dukha, distress, sorrow, sadness, pain, dosha, fault, anudarshanam, observing these, asakti. Asakti means without attachment, without holding them close to your chest and without rejecting it, just observing it, these things dispassionately. Anabhavishanga, without association of putra, dara, griha adishu, son, wife, the home. Nityam samachitatvam, always doing this with equilibrium, with balance. Ishta, anishta, the desirable or the undesirable. Upapatissu, having obtained. Mayi cha ananya yogena bhakti avibhyacharina. So, Mayi, to me, by devotional service and by devotion to me, constant devotion to me, which is avyabhicharini, unalloyed, unmixed with anything else. Jana, people. Sansadi, the greater or the mass of people. Adhyatma, pertaining to the self. Jnana, knowledge. Nityatvam, that which is eternal, Tattva Gyan, knowing the truth, Artha Darshanam, the object of the truth, the philosophy of it, Darshanam, Etat Jnanam, all this knowledge, all this is knowledge, Iti Proktam, so I declare this, and that which is not this, I declare to be Ajnanam. Ajnanam yat ata anyataha. That which is different from this, or contrary to this, or opposing this, I declare that to be ignorance. So humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a genuine spiritual master, cleanliness, internal and external, steadiness and self-control, renunciation and giving up of the objects of sense gratification, the absence of false ego, and the ability to perceive the evil of the evil distress of birth, death, old age, and disease, and non-attachment to children, to wife, to home, and that which is connected with that, even-mindedness and steadiness despite the pleasant and the unpleasant, the desirable and the undesirable, the constant, unalloyed, unmixed devotional service to me, wanting to go to natural solitary places for meditation and to live in such a condition, detachment from the general public, the mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization and the philosophical search for the absolute truth. These all I declare to be knowledge, and what is opposing this or contrary to this, I declare this to be ignorance. So many things have been covered here. Many things. So the key thing is unalloyed devotional service to me and attachment to me. Now, in the Brihad Narangya Upanishad, it states that Harer Nama eva Kevalam, Kalau Nasti va Nasti va Nasti va Tirganyatha. That in Kali Yuga, in this iron age of quarrel and hypocrisy, there is no other way except chanting the holy names of the Lord, chanting the holy names of the Lord, chanting the holy names of the Lord. That Hare Nama, Eva Kevalam, this is the only way. So, all these qualities develop out of two things: attachment to the divine, through the you can say the connection that you receive from a genuine spiritual master, and then unattachment, lack of attachment to so many things by the service to Krishna and by chanting the Mahamantra. So these qualities that are listed here are not going to happen on their own. They have to be developed, and they are developed how? If you try and develop these, there is a mental game that you would be playing, that I am becoming without ego, I don't have much of an ego, I don't have an ego, I am detached by my external actions, but internally you may still be attached. So that is still attachment. And then unalloyed devotional service. So in many places Lord Krishna has mentioned that what is the standard of unalloyed devotional service. And this anabhilasita shunyam is a standard, that one should be without attachment. That means you do not ask for anything material from the divine in exchange for your service. Now that is a very difficult standard to reach, because Krishna has earlier said that people who are attached to receiving some material benefit and who have done many pious activities, eventually they will approach me and I take care of them. So this is the objective or the goal, but it is not that you will suddenly reach it. It is going to take time, and what it is going to take a transformation of your internal self, which comes through approaching a spiritual master, getting engaged in the service of the divine, doing everything for Krishna. So in many places Krishna has mentioned this, that if you look at this in if we refer to this, the Nectar of Devotion, Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, there is the first shlok is Anya Bhilasita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavritam Anukulyena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhakti Ruttama. So without a desire other than a service to Krishna, and without material desire of any kind, by the jnana, by the knowledge of the philosophy, karma, by fruitive activities, by artificially practicing detachment, and so on, these are not favorable. So these, you must do the opposite, which is the favorable, the Krishna Anushilanam, that which is favorable to your service to Krishna in your relationship to him. Bhakti Uttama, that is called the highest form of bhakti. Now the other forms, the fruitive activities and jnana and so on, is a form of bhakti, but it is not the ultimate. Just like it is said that there are three realizations of the devotees of Krishna, or those who are approaching the divine. The first realization is Brahma, the second realization is Paramatma, and the third is Bhagavan. So the Brahma and the Paramatma are lower stages than the Bhagavan stage. So Paramatma means the super soul, the Vishnu aspect of Krishna within your heart. And then there is Krishna, the source of everything, including the Vishnu aspect. So if you are approaching Bhagavan directly, let's say through the chanting of the Maha Mantra, that is the best. So it is the best and the simplest, and the other things will gradually come in response to your chanting the Maha Mantra, in response to doing your healing. So the two are connected. That the sound vibration that you hear is also non-different from the Supreme, just as the Reiki energy also is non-different, but it is more in the Brahma region. We have covered this many times, that this is the universal life force energy which is flowing through the universe, which is a Brahminical energy. So it's not that the Brahmins are not connected to this energy. They are also connected to some level of the universal life force energy, just as we as Reiki healers or KQ healers are connected to a certain level of the life force universal energies. But the next understanding that you need to upgrade, where is this coming from? This is coming from Krishna, which is the topic that we've been discussing here in Bhagavad Gita. And what do we need to do to maximize it? So now you have the second most powerful additional resource for you, which is chanting the Maha Mantra. So the reason for chanting the Maha Mantra is that it will go and purify all your nadis, it will purify all the channels in your body that are yet to have the understanding of Krishna. So now you are getting the understanding of who Krishna is and what does it mean to be his unalloyed or unmixed or pure devotee. And this is a standard that is not so easy to maintain. You cannot do this artificially, clearly. So this has been stated many, many times in so many different ways. Anna Bhilashita Shunyam and so on, which we just covered. So this is Jiva Goswami, one of the Goswamis, mentioned Shravanam Kirtanadi Lakshana Matratvam Yato Na Vyahanyeta. If one wants to seriously destroy the material illusion, the duality of it, one must adopt the process of chanting and hearing the glories of the Supreme Lord. So there are many ways that we can approach this, many ways that we can confirm this. The rendering of devotional service is very, very important. And if you connect to chapter 9, of the most confidential knowledge that was given in Bhagavad Gita. We have the text number 2 of chapter 9. Raj Vidya Raj Guhyam Pavitram Idam Uttamam Pratyakshav Gamam Dharmayam Susuksam Kartum Avyayam. So, hearing submissively the instructions given by the Lord Himself in Bhagavad Gita. That is the Raj Vidya, the king of knowledge, Vidya Raj Guhyam, most confidential of knowledge. And by associating with Pavitram Idam Uttamam, with such pure spiritual knowledge, one can directly experience the eternal nature, which is Pratyakshaavagamam. And by experiencing this eternal nature, one becomes thoroughly engaged in following dharmayam, and is susukham, very blissfully engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, kartum avyayam. So this is very, very important to consider these things, that control of the mind is very important. Having a genuine, legitimate spiritual master is very important, and following the instructions and engaging directly in Krishna's service will develop these 20 qualities. This is significant. So we will pause here and take some questions if you have any. And just to reiterate and summarize, there are 20 qualities listed here, but of those 20 qualities, you have to focus on what is the method of obtaining those 20 qualities. They cannot be separate from your practice. So you practice. How do you practice? You practice by approaching a bona fide spiritual master. You hear the instructions, you follow the system that is being proposed, and detach yourself, the detachment from the general mass of people, not going in the direction that the general people are going, and detachment from home, from family, gradually taking place in a natural way, not in an artificial way. Events may come to take you in that direction, so you should not resist those, you should follow those. But you have to be internally very, very strong and steady. The word used is you have to be absolutely steady to develop these. So how will you develop these? You cannot develop these separately. They are going to be developed as an outcome of your practice, of the spiritual methods that you have been given, of your healing and your chanting of the Mahamantra, your discussion and kirtanam, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smarnam, that as you hear, then you chant or engage in topics of discussion of the divine, and then you remember Vishnu Smarnam or Krishna. And you have to have the association of the right type, which is amongst the community of the healers. So once you are engaged in such a collective process, then you are protected and safe within the community, and you progress. So if there are any questions, I will take those now. Does anybody have questions here? Yes.
Sir, I have a question.
Sure.
The three aspects that you discussed, the first, the Brahman, and then the Super
Brahma, Paramatma and Bhagwan.
And the last is
Yes.
Bhagwan. So the first one, Brahman, from whatever I understand and what I'm trying to understand is that just the impersonal form, like just
That's right.
everything that we see?
The universal
is
life
the
force
universal
energy.
life source.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
Brahman.
That's Brahma.
And then the second one is when we are meditating or doing our healing or with the higher self or the
Yes.
different names that are
Yes,
there.
the
is
Paramatma
the
self.
Paramatma
Yeah.
self. So that's the soul which is seated at the heart.
The super soul, yes,
Super soul.
above the soul.
Oh, it's above the soul.
Yeah, there is Atma, and Param Atma means above the soul.
So when we are able to directly connect with that.
Yeah, you are
aspect,
connecting
is
because that's in your heart. So Reiki is descending from crown chakra, third eye, throat to your heart. So you have two aspects here. You have the Brahma aspect,
right.
and then you have the Paramatma aspect, which is this is the resting place. The resting place is where Krishna as the super soul
Right.
has expanded himself. So you've covered two. The third is to understand the source of the Paramatma. That is, the expansion is coming from Krishna. It is a unseparated expansion. It is a Swayansha expansion of Krishna, which means unlike the living entities who are the Vibhinansh or the separated expansions. So then, because this message is going back to Krishna, how much you want to approach him through this aspect. So then you come to the third and the ultimate aspect, which is Krishna himself. So everything is covered simultaneously. Even if you didn't chant the Mahamantra, but you would get this knowledge. You would develop this knowledge. But now that you do have this knowledge, and to speed it up faster, we always can chant the Mahamantra. And the Mahamantra will directly connect us to this.
So we are
Bhagwan
just
aspect.
basically aspiring for the rest of our life to understand the third aspect.
To connect with and to
Connect
serve.
with.
Yeah, so you're already engaged in the service of Krishna indirectly and directly
Right.
by doing your healing. Yeah, you're changing lives for yourself and for others who are connected to you karmically. And when you chant the Mahamantra, this is the best, highest form. So the foundation is the healing,
Right.
the connection with the Brahminical energy. So in the Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, first you are given the Harinam. They give you the initiation for the name, which is chanted in your ear. And then next comes the Brahmin initiation. So here you are getting it little bit in reverse. Because in fact it is the reverse. You are getting the Brahmin initiation first. Then you are being led from the impersonal aspect to the Paramatma aspect, and then to the Bhagwan aspect. Because the approach is that if you go to somebody and say, okay, I will give you Harinam, then you become very sectarian in their mind. That this is a religious process. So this is now guerrilla warfare going in the opposite direction. That you are going, okay, you don't have to do anything, it's just universal. Nobody is frightened of light, nobody is frightened of the sunshine. If you say, okay, I'm going to give you the sun, then you're worried. But because it can burn you, and I don't know, it's too bright, and I don't understand it. So here it's nothing threatening, because there's no form. So in one sense, it is tackling the formless aspect of the divine by entering in a initiation through the spiritual master, and then it is resting in your heart chakra, which is the Paramatma aspect, which is again not declared yet. Later on, as you get the knowledge, then you understand, yes, it's in the heart chakra, that is the Paramatma. And then the source of this, coming down from the Antakaran, has the light that is now coming from Krishna. So
sir, like so many human beings on this planet Earth, everybody's connected like that. So aren't
all
we
their
just-
strings are
everything
yes.
is just one then.
Everything,
It's
yes. So that is a very good realization, because ultimately you have to, whatever you see Krishna.
It's
Yeah, good or bad. I mean, Krishna is there. It's not that he's doing the good or the bad. He doesn't interfere. But you see Krishna everywhere. So we discussed this earlier also, that ultimately if you are seeing Krishna everywhere, it's great. But don't confuse Krishna personally doing what that entity is doing. So they have not suddenly become Krishna.
Actually, sir, I must share because I have so many friends who are initiated into the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya,
Okay.
and I am not, of course, because
Right.
I'm in the healing. And I see, and they ask me questions because they've been initiated for so long, and then they ask me questions that you're not initiated, but how come you have because I have a very different approach towards just about everything.
Yes.
So having come to healing first, and then say for example, I say 10 years down the road, if somebody was to go and get formally initiated, there's such a world of difference from what you're saying. They're initiated, but they're so cuckoo in their head. Like I see them, not in a mean way, I'm saying cuckoo in their head, but they become so fixed and so they have so many like troubles. And then there are a few of us who've done Reiki or who practice Reiki. They're like constantly they need help. Yeah. And these are people who've been initiated like 10 years.
That is the difference. Exactly, this is the point. That when you go into that kind of a spiritual practice, it is a very tough life.
It is.
Your life's problems don't go away. You cannot tackle them the way you can tackle it with Reiki. So I have always maintained, after my decade plus of experience, almost 15 years in the Sampradayas, that those methodologies are actually a reform school. It is meant for rascals. And they are put there. It's like a military school of the spiritual kind. But you have to graduate from that school at some point. The problem is that in their understanding, if you move on to something else, they have a typical term. ISKCON term is, this person blooped.
Right.
Yeah. So you are a blooper. You bloop. That means, what is that bloop coming from? Like you drop a stone in water, it goes bloop. So you bloop. But that is absolutely false, because they're in serious trouble. They may have all the gyan, they may have all the technical knowledge, which we don't. But we are very blessed to have Bhaktivedanta Swami's teachings, which we follow. We have Sridhar Swami's teachings, which we follow. And ultimately they're coming from, previous acharyas up the line. Ramanuja Acharya, Sridhar Maharaj, so many acharyas. Baldev Vidyabhushan's commentaries. Those are the acharyas in our line going all the way up. So we don't need to know that. If you understand the essence, what else is there to know? There isn't. If you are practicing on the line and you're developing those qualities, then you do not need the other. So those things are okay for certain people. And in fact, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, in his Jaiva Dharma, he wrote that very clearly, Brahmin is not the highest aspiration. Because in this life you may be Brahmin, where you were previously and where you go next we don't know, but service to Krishna is the highest. And getting that connectivity of understanding that Krishna is supreme. But you don't have to have the dogma. The dogma is different. So it's okay for those people. It's for kids, who are troublemakers. They want to, you sit here and you do this, and you keep them busy from morning to evening so they don't get into trouble. That's fine.
So I have another question.
Yes.
So sir, then with finally, at the end of the day, rendering service to Krishna
Yes.
in whatever best capability that one can do.
Yeah.
So supposing these friends of mine who are doing very, they get up at 3:30.
Yeah. Mangalarti. Yeah, 16 rounds of chanting.
Yeah, they've got the whole thing
Yes.
sorted out for
We
the
did
day.
this for 14
But
years.
is it not to be in a much better position to, if I'm sitting at home or I'm somewhere and somebody...
Well, this is what I'm saying. Chanting 16 rounds means, you're going to... It's like you sit in the corner and you write this thing, which is fine.
But just to help somebody, if somebody receives healing or some comfort, some level of comfort.
Yeah, if you are helping, that is more superior, you're asking.
Not
Well,
in an egotistical way.
no, I understand what you're saying. No, certainly if you are being of service to the devotees of Krishna, that is actually an objective of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Society.
That's my question.
Yes.
So finally, is that not...
You're in service to the devotees. Yeah, so there is indirect service and there is direct service. So Krishna says that service of my servant, of my servant, of my servant is better than approaching me directly. So you have these many different paradigms going on simultaneously. So depending where you are plugged into those. So serving the servant of Krishna is a very high service, no question about it. And the Gaudiya Vaishnavas are servants of Krishna. There is no debate on that whatsoever, no confusion. However, they are different kind of servants and we are different kind of servants. So they are knowledgeable in a way that we are not. Let us be very clear about that. At the same time, the applicability of what they have is greater with us. the applicability of the Brahma energy, of the Brahmin energy, is more empowered with a Reiki person to sort out things on the material plane that are obstacles to your spiritual growth. Whereas in their case, they have to tough it out. So it's a school of hard knocks.
They're so inquisitive to know who's my initiating teacher.
Yeah, you should tell them.
I tell them.
So in fact, I was I was in the process of writing a book which is complete, but now this book is writing itself, as was with the Joy of Reiki. There is a biographical section in the book. The book starts with a biographical section, and that has really run away. It is like the last things I included were like what shaped my vision and what shaped me to be where I am, which gives the background as to the rest of the writing of the book. So this has become practically 1/3 of the book, and that's only a partial biography. But it covers the ISKCON years, the post-ISKCON years, the pre-ISKCON years, what happened in the family when I was in family business. And I was reviewing it as though it was somebody else it was happening. It's pretty tough, hard knocks everywhere. But that is what gives you the strength. Because when you are exercising your, the muscles, so to speak, or your ability to deal with things, you get help from the universe. And I certainly got a lot of help from Prabhupada's writings, because that was actually I never came to ISKCON initially. I found his books because I was a voracious reader. I was looking for help somewhere. So I would read all kinds of books, all kinds of spiritual, religious books. And then I found Prabhupada's books. So for about 6 months or a year, I was reading those books. And then I said, Prabhupada said, get in touch with the community. So then later I got in touch with the community. So they used to ask me, who's your spiritual master? So I used to say, Prabhupada. I said, how? He passed away 3 years ago. So I said, yes, but the thing is that he's according to his teachings, is why I'm here to learn more if I can. And so that got me into the circle of ISKCON. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been. Plus, I was getting detached from my family there and the business, so I needed some support group. So they were the only other support group that seemed to be on the same platform as I was on, and looking for, rather, I was not on that platform, but I was looking for that. And so I got a lot of good things from it, and a lot of toughening up also. So eventually I had to detach myself from there also. So ultimately it's a process of detachment. So there have been detachments that are happening in my life, particularly over the years, in many different ways. And you will find in your life also. So if you move with it, then you're in good condition. But if you are resisting and you want to, revisit old dead bodies, so to speak, of relationships and things, there's no point. So then it's just old corpses that you're trying to resurrect, and they're already gone. At best, it's a zombie life.
So your realization of over the years and your experiences and realization of where you said that the soul, I don't know if you said that, but I'm getting that the soul has all the strength and stamina.
Yes.
And that's the inner
strength. The soul knows everything. But because it's
empowered.
captured by Krishna's inferior energy, it has a tough
It
time.
has a tough, but over the time and over your experiences, you just kept realizing and it kept opening up to you.
For me personally,
For
yes,
you personally.
absolutely.
Yes.
When you read the book, you'll find
When
all
is it
kinds.
going to be out, sir?
I don't know. I am contacting some literary agents in America. I have a schedule to do some a conference call with this one particular person, which I'm postponing because the book keeps expanding. I thought I'd finished the books, but after I thought I finished the book, it's added another 5,000 words to it. So it just keeps going. Now I just have to say, okay, enough for this slot. Then I have to give it to an editor to edit, which I will be doing. They're already doing it, so I'm going to be sending now the expanded version. So they are saying send them hard copies. So okay, so now I have to wait till this is done. Then I have to do at least the first 100 pages or 50 pages they want. So then that should be cleaned up. So those 50 pages are mostly becoming my biography, which is not what I wanted to send them, but that's the way it's going. So once, now I don't know, maybe a year or two, because it's a long process. Sometimes if some publisher or literary agent, first of all, it's very difficult to find a literary agent who will represent your interest to a publisher. But if they do, and some publisher finds it very exciting to publish, it will still be a year down the road. So that will come up. So my tentative title for these books, actually there will be 2 books, maybe 3. So 2 are already written, 1 is being cleaned up. So the title so far, my working title is Dangerous Visions, winning for winning in life. 1 minute success secrets. So let's see how Dangerous Visions does.
We've got a couple of people here, Guy and Anu.
Yeah,
We'll
sure.
go with Guy first.
Okay.
Guy, please go ahead and ask your question.
Good morning, Master.
Good morning, Guy.
I was fascinating discussion. Grateful for that. I was just having a question before, which is completely in a different space, but just to understand from the text, there was a statement of aspiring to live in a solitary place.
Yes.
On one hand, and then on the other, the association and community. Can you expand on that, please?
Yeah. Resorting to solitary spaces means that you are living with nature, or you are connecting to nature, because that time it is easier to connect with the divine. When you are in a group, general group of people are very busy with them, then your interactions take over and there's no time for introspection. So resorting to solitary spaces means that the shlok is that vivikta desha sevitvam, aspiring to live in such a solitary place without attachment to people in general. So that is your question. But at the same time, if you have adhyatma gyan, it also says adhyatma gyan, knowledge of the self. So if you are getting knowledge of the self by association with other people, like-minded people and knowledgeable people, that is a good association. But eventually it is your own internal journey. So I remember Govind Maharaj told me that you are going to leave this path and come back to it in different ways many times. And that is the way it should be. So that's what this means, that you go away, test your realizations in the world, meditate on it, then come back to it with a changed way of doing the thing, with your understanding renewed as to how you need to apply this to your life. So it's a process of going back and forth. If you are completely disconnected from people, you are not going to know whether you're right or wrong, whether your realization is correct or not. You may have some realization. But how do you test it? How do you recognize that this is the correct path? So that is only in the association of others, which are the devotees. But yes, you should take time off and you should have your space to be living in a secluded environment in that sense. So you have to manage both. Does that make any sense for you?
Yes. It's actually it clears a lot of interaction I had with myself in the last 2 years.
Okay.
2.5 years.
Okay.
And it resonates very much.
Okay.
Great.
Wonderful. Okay. Thank you for sharing. We have Anu now to ask something.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead, please.
Anu,
Good morning. You blanked out somewhere.
she unmute.
Okay.
So I have a question, and this is what I have been thinking within myself, with regards to it. The question is that, as you said, we have to get detached slowly and in a natural fashion. And the fact is, there's always that fear of losing what you have. And at the same time, as I'm healing over the years, what I have found is my capacity to love and to give is much more than what it was before. But that fear of losing hasn't really gone. So how should we work at it, or should we just let it be and it will happen on its own?
What kind of fear of losing what do you have? What is the fear? What types of fear?
So on a personal basis, it's not about money, it's about relationships.
Well, if you look at your life, anybody looks at their life, you'll find that your relationships have changed over the years. Some have terminated and gone away, and then you have developed new ones, or they have circled back in some form in time, in future, and come back, but in different ways. Ultimately, you're going to lose everything that is connected to the body. That is very, very clear. That is the reality. So if we understand that we are going to lose everything that is connected to the body, what does that mean for us individually? It means that we maintain a relationship with the understanding that we give and take in a reciprocal fashion. All that is involved in our interactions with people. But eventually this is also going to change, because the person will leave their body. Some of them will leave their bodies before you, sometimes you will leave your body. Then where are you? So unless you have this understanding, the fear is not going to go away. So there is going to be an ending of relationships. Let us be very clear about that. And that's a fact of life. So there should be no fear about that. You should know it's going to end at some point. Everything. Whether it's son, whether it's husband, his wife, or father or mother, friends, anybody. There can be a changeable situation. So ultimately you have to be in a solitary space. So you have to be alone in that sense. With Krishna, with the healing energy. That is what is not leaving you. Everything else in the world will leave you except Krishna and the universal life force. Reiki is always with you, Krishna is always with you. These are the things that matter. So gradually you will be shown this. And if you are again running after relationships with people, then you are actually not headed in the right direction. We are not saying don't have relationships. Certainly you can have them. But you have to understand that these relationships are not permanent. The only permanent, eternal relationship is with the life force, with the Reiki and with Krishna. That's it. That's the only one. So if that is going to be your permanent relationship, does it not make sense to pay more attention to that one? Because that's where you're getting all your benefits in life from. They're coming to you through those relationships, other relationships. Krishna or the life force is working through them. So when you understand that and you see Krishna in everything, then the person may come and go, but Krishna will come to you through someone else. Okay?
Yes, Master. So it's basically that if we, that comes to the point you made earlier, that if we see Krishna in everything.
Yes, that is exactly it. Yes, and that is how you see Krishna in everything, that Krishna is coming to me through this relationship. And it is said also, you should not be attached to the positive or the negative, in the sense that whether it is good or bad, it is whether it is something which is pleasant and unpleasant. So these things you have to be balanced in both. I'll just read out this, what it says. It says here, with the anishta, ishta, anishta, both these things, samachittatvam, ishta, anishta, being at balance within the desirable and the undesirable, no matter what happens. So Krishna will come undesirable through an undesirable route also, and he will come through a desirable route also. You have to understand that it's not he who is doing this, he is in everything. So when I'm seeing Krishna, then I am more at balance. Okay, Krishna is sending me this for something, I have to deal with it, that's all. So whether it's desirable or undesirable, I am dealing with it. So what happens is that instead of going for the body and the picture and the representation that's in front of me, I go behind, inside, to the heart and to the universal energy, and then to Krishna himself. That actually behind this there is Krishna that is, you can say, activating this person. This person has been energized by Krishna. Behind this is Krishna. But I must deal with this situation as I see it. And it is not an offense to Krishna. It is not a problem if I'm dealing with somebody in a harsh way or a hard way, because it calls for it. As may a soldier, as may somebody who is on the battlefield. But behind that I am seeing that there is Krishna also. So there is detachment that comes. So this is how ultimately you are going to become anabhilashita shunyam. That you will become free of desire of the material, because the material are just animated dead bodies actually, if you look at it. People are dead bodies that are being artificially given life. Because the life force goes, the bodies are dead. Isn't it? So everybody is a zombie in that way, you know. And sometimes you tell them, "Mera sir kyun kha rahe ho?" So the zombies eat brains, so I am eating my head. So you understand, you naturally know this, that people are zombies, that they are animated only by Krishna. Once that animation is gone, they are like dead puppets. The strings are cut and you fall. So the puppets don't move anymore. But puppet implies control. Krishna is not controlling you. Let's be very clear about that. You are being controlled by your connection to the illusory energy of Krishna. Okay, this is the inferior Maya energy. Okay, but it is so powerful, it's got you in its hold. So everything will go. It's going. Prepare for it. Okay?
Thank you so much. Very, very grateful.
Okay, very welcome. Yes.
So this will also make us more honest in our work. When we are seeing Krishna in everything or everybody, if say we're attached to our department, we're saying, oh, this is our department and this is they are doing something. But when we see behind that person Krishna, then we will do the right thing in every.
Well, why won't you do the right thing even if you don't see Krishna?
So I'm just saying that one may be attached to, think that this is my.
You should be attached to discharging your duty, whether material or spiritual. Yes.
That would be fear-based.
No.
At that aspect, it would be fear-based. That if I don't do this, I'll get some fatka, I'll get a repercussion, I'll get some consequence. But that's, even if you're seeing Krishna behind this, you are still aware that you have to do something in a way that you don't get the undesirable consequences as far as you can help it. Your question seems to be that correct me if I'm wrong, if I have not understood this. Your question seems to be that if I see Krishna, then I will automatically be detached.
Then I will automatically be doing my work better.
You may or may not. I can't speak to that because that is entirely up to you. Krishna is not sitting like a headmaster. I remember when I was 8 or 9 years old, I used to stand in front of the mirror and have a chat with him and say, you know what I'm going to say, so why should I say anything? Because you already know it in advance. So if I'm saying this, you already know I'm saying it. So what's the use of having any conversation with you, because you know everything. So if you are going to be in that same state that Krishna knows everything and he's a headmaster waiting to rap my knuckles, you've just transferred the fear from immediate fear of consequences there to higher authority. That's all you've done. So that is not helpful. Huh? You've gone from the class teacher to the headmaster. Now the headmaster is looking at me and the headmaster is going to beat me. More fear.
There's more fear.
Yes, what? No. Have you done it? Yes, absolutely. That's exactly how it will be. Because that's the reason you will do your work more honestly. Because you're afraid of the big headmaster.
So that's what I
Oh, but that's the way you are. It's not what you asked. What did you ask? Please ask again. Because nobody is clear what you asked exactly. Please restate it.
So would there be a concept of honest and dishonesty when you
So let's see. Let us speak. Yes, please go ahead.
So, like when you are seeing, when you are detached in your vision,
Detached from what? What are you
When you are
detached from?
when you
Are you detached that, if I take this decision, how will it reflect on me?
No, sir.
If I don't take this decision, how will it reflect on
No,
me?
sir. I'm saying that when you are seeing Krishna in everything, then you are more detached in your vision and in how you conduct yourself and what you may what.
Are you
kind of
talking
steps you
about
make.
yourself or this is some theory now?
No, I'm talking about myself.
Yeah, so you are detached when you, so just say what it is, that if you are seeing Krishna, then what happens? Tell me.
So then you are seeing the bigger picture. You're seeing.
What is the bigger picture?
You're not seeing things in compartments.
What is the bigger picture?
The bigger picture is that whoever that there must be benefit to the right person.
Okay, let me give you an example. I don't think you're there. This is theoretical. Let me give you an example of the last conversation we had. You had a situation at work
Yes.
where some external authority who had no right to interfere went and interfered.
Yes.
But you got the result that we were wanting. So you were not understanding that till I pointed this out to you.
Yes.
Correct?
So now.
So I said, ki whatever that person did, why are you agitating? Because you eventually got the result you were asking for.
Yes.
So when you see Krishna, then you will
So
not
at
get
that-
agitated.
At that point of time, had I seen this,
That is the thing, that you didn't see it, but this is the way to understand it, because post that event, I pointed out to you very clearly that this has happened exactly, got the result which the healing was being channeled for. It came through some uncomfortable way.
yes.
It came through some way which disturbed you tremendously, disturbed your whole department and everything. But that is where you need to say this is Krishna working.
So that's what I'm saying. That
Yeah,
that
but you
is-
didn't do it. So I'm saying that that's the
so
way
that
to do
I
it.
didn't do it earlier.
Yeah,
but
now
that's
do
what
it.
I have realized.
Yes, exactly. So that realization is good. That now you see whichever way it is coming through, it is Krishna working through that. And because you're channeling the healing energy, you're protected. Because you're connected to Krishna, you're protected. So it may appear for the time being that this is a very bad thing that's happening to me. The bottom line is this. But understand that this is Krishna working to take care of you. So even in the area of personal relationships, we had questions long time back. And one person was asking me that, that I am very attracted to this person and can I have a relationship with him? Will it not be sinful? Will it not be bad? I said, you look at it, you send healing and you figure it out. And I encourage them, please go ahead with the relationship. And they said, but this is contrary. I said, no, it's not. You look at it. If it is meant to happen, it will happen. And don't be afraid. And eventually, after quite some time, they did take that step and they're extremely happy. But the thing is, it may not last. This is the point. We don't have to think, okay, now I've got this, now I'm going to keep it forever. No, there's no forever. There's nothing forever. The only forever is Krishna and the healing energy. That's forever. And you have a connection with that, you maintain that connection without any obstruction and obstacle, then you're in a very good place. No matter what is happening in your body, no matter what is happening anywhere else, it is irrelevant. The success of healing is not that I am now disease free. You are never going to be disease free permanently. You are going to die of some disease. That's a given. Everybody will die of some disease. But how uncomfortable I am, how much of an obstacle it is to my spiritual progress, If I can moderate it and still continue and I'm not distracted too much with my disease, that's a great place to be. And even if I have the disease, even at the point of death, I can still connect with Krishna, because the body is going, the disease will go with the body. So that kind of attitude we need to focus on. Any other question?
We've got 3 messages.
Yeah.
One from Vedanta, Shamli and Bhairavi.
Okay.
Vedanta says, lots of gratitude, sir. The new direction since late 2015, when I met you in London, has been a journey of simplification of life. And this series of Gita classes has brought a completely different level of understanding compared to the Gita classes many years ago. Shamli says, dear sir, your life is a living example of all that I have understood today. You have sacrificed a lot to bring forward the knowledge to your students. Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Bhairavi says, gratitude with pranam and a flower.
Okay. Thank you all. Any other questions here?
So who's playing the flute?
Outside somewhere. Some flute seller. Maybe Krishna. Who knows? See Krishna behind the flute. Pleasant sound.
Sense of ultimately you have to just live in the moment.
Yes, just for today, just for now.
Just for now.
Dr. Mikau, you see, tells us just for today. And drill down to just for now. Enjoy your pain, enjoy your happiness, enjoy everything. Yes.
So from January to now, when I went back, the realization, maybe it's not correct, but I'm just asking, does acceptance come before surrender? Because once I accept whatever is happening, is also a very is also a blessing. Adversity is also a blessing in itself, and only when I accept it is I'm able to surrender to it. Because earlier I think I was trying to just surrender to everything, not knowingly, and still having resentment about so many things.
So that is artificial in a way.
That's artificial.
Yes, it is definitely artificial. Because acceptance is the key thing.
It's the key thing.
Yeah. Krishna mentions in this sequence here, he has mentioned that acceptance of Tattva Gyan and the philosophy, Tattva Gyan Darshanam, that you have the philosophy of the truth, and acceptance of the knowledge of the truth. So that is, Tattva Gyan means to see the truth as it is by direct perception, that is Gyan, that is Atma Gyan or self-realization, really. So that self-realization must take place. So we will be doing many things artificially, trying to follow these things, no doubt. But eventually they will become natural and in the right place, provided you follow this system. Yes?
Yeah, there's Mansi Gupta is asking a question. Sir mentioned in one of the Bhagavad Gita classes that we have to go beyond getting karma consequences free. We have to serve Krishna. When we are doing healing, we are trying to be karma consequence free. Is it considered a service to Krishna, and what more can we do to serve him? Pranam.
Yes. Doing your healing and becoming karma consequence free is a service to Krishna, because you are directly wanting to approach him. You are also liberating other people who are connected to you karmically to be free of their karmic debts to you at least. And that is a very big thing. That is a service. And when you are channeling healing to them to be liberated also from their karmic bindings, it implies that there is going to be a change in their knowledge base and understanding, and they will turn towards Krishna consciousness. So the idea is that you are bathing yourself with Krishna consciousness energy. You are hearing it by chanting the Mahamantra. You are hearing it discussing these topics. So, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam is happening. So that is all service to Krishna. So as you hear, as you talk, as you remember, this is all service to Krishna. You have the energy in the heart. From the heart it goes to your hands. You know that. And so the heart center is the Paramatma. And then the source is your Antakaran coming from above, and the ultimate source of all things is Krishna. So that is the Bhagwan aspect. So you are covering all three. Brahma, Paramatma and Bhagwan. Bhagwan is the highest stage. So you have all three now. You have knowledge of all three. So your Jnani is actually in a very big way. When you understand the fundamental, Jnani doesn't mean a scholar. A person who has actually self-realized knows these things. So it does not require scholarly education, but the scholarly education there is to confirm your finding or to guide you in case your finding is incomplete. So we take use of both. So this is acquired knowledge, Jnana, and then Vigyan. Krishna has mentioned that earlier in the Bhagavad Gita. You must have both. So this is a very good way to progress in your life. So you can discuss this amongst yourselves also sometimes. If you have a group, you want to talk about Gita, you can. Okay. Okay, so we will conclude here now at text 12. We have covered text 8 through 12, 5 texts. 20 points have been listed. So go over this again. And then we will proceed next time with text 13 onwards. Okay.
So may I ask one last one?
Yes, you may.
So when does the soul become consciously in touch or connect with the super soul?
You are already in touch as healers. As healers, you are already in touch with the soul and the super soul. There's you may not be very conscious of it, but the inner guidance that is coming to you, the knowledge, the drive, everything, and when you are in a meditative state, let's say when you are doing your healing with focus and attention to the energy flow, so that Brahma energy takes you to Paramatma and then takes you to Bhagwan. So that's another way you can actually systematically approach it that way. And of course by chanting, doing japa. So you should do japa. So it might be fun if you guys got some japa beads and started chanting. And next time we can teach you how to do that if you want to do that. So this is an additional activity that you can do if you want to do things like that. So all you have to hold with these two fingers, thumb and this. And in the bead bag, it's a cloth bag, your finger has to be out, and this finger, because this is the nasty finger, ego finger. So you chant using these and then you can count. You can do that or you can do it mentally. It depends where you are oriented. If you are oriented to touch, then you can touch the beads. Or there's nothing to stop you from just chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. You can find on YouTube chanting tapes. Don't get carried away in the very fancy musical orchestral ones. There are some very nice Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada's tapes of chanting. You can do a group chanting with him. If you have nobody else, then you just turn that on and you chant with Prabhupada. Chant with anybody. That I would recommend Prabhupada. That Jagatarini Devidasi also is good. They were all friends of mine. So they in Vrindavan. So you can chant, or with Bhurijan Prabhu. So many. Okay. All right.
Quickly, Shukra saying grateful to sir for the class in chanting, all facilitators for all the questions asked. Mansi says very grateful sir, pranam. Prabha Sajan says grateful to the master and all facilitators. Guy says pranam. Anil says pranam.
Okay, thank you all, and we'll see you next week. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 You've been listening to Nalin K. Narula on GettingPositiveKarmaNow.com.